Good evening. Welcome to the Rochester Board of Education Business Meeting. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, and the time is 6:03. We are going to convene into the business meeting at this time, beginning with an act of reverence to the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to appeal to Vice President Malloy to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice President Malloy. We're also going to now open up for, I'm going to turn the mic over to Clerk Nguyen for the roll call.
Good evening, commissioners and community. We'll start with roll call. If you would just say present when your name is called. President Simmons,
Present.
Vice President Malloy, Commissioner Feynman, Commissioner Griffin,
Present.
Commissioner LeBron, Commissioner McCullough, and Commissioner Santiago.
Present.
Who's roll call?
Thank you. And Clerk Nguyen, if you will also help us out with the upcoming events.
For the month of May, the board will open on Tuesday, May 5th, with the adoption of the 26-27 school year budget. The following Tuesday, on May 12th, we'll convene for a board work session at 6 p.m. On Wednesday, May 13th, the board will host its annual employee recognition beginning at 5:30 p.m. Tuesday, May 19th, you'll hold your speaker forum at 5:30 p.m., and you'll conclude the month with your business meeting on Thursday, May 26th at 6 p.m.
Thank
As
you.
you all
God
know,
bless you.
the board convenes a monthly speaker forum to gather feedback from students, parents, and community members. You may sign up to speak to the board by contacting us at 585-262-8525 or emailing boardofeducation@rcsdk12.org. You must register by 12 p.m. on the day of the forum and include the following information: your name, phone number, email address, home address, affiliation, and the topic of your comment. Only district parents, students, staff, and residents of the city of Rochester may speak or submit written comments, and non-residents may only do so with the approval of the forum chair. With the exception of public hearings, speakers are allotted, 3 minutes to speak and address the board, and speakers using translation may speak for 6 minutes, 3 of which includes time for translation. Individuals may view the board meeting calendar at rcsdk12.org/BOE calendar. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Nguyen. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for the acceptance and approval of the minutes for the March 26th business meeting, minutes for the April 7th work session, and approval of the minutes for the April 14th first budget deliberation session.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner McCullough, seconded by Commissioner Griffin. All in favor? Any opposed? The minutes carry. Moving forward to our advisory council reports, I'd like to, at this time, welcome Melissa Meehan, who will read the Bilingual Education Council report here this evening. Welcome, Ms. Meehan. The mic is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent and Commissioners. Please refer to the PDF document that was uploaded to the board docs for your review. The BEC executive team met this morning and would also like to bring to the board and public's attention that the BEC has been requesting information from central office regarding the number of bilingual staff in each building and their roles. Time and time again, what we hear from the community is that there are not enough bilingual administrators, social workers, and teachers to serve the students and their families. To this end, we have 4 requests. First, we need an updated list with the names and positions of bilingual principals, assistant principals, and administrative staff, particularly in buildings with bilingual programs and in parent and student-facing positions. This should be a basic starting point. We have been made aware, second point, we have been made aware of the movement of at least 3 bilingual staff away from the Office of Parent Engagement. This leaves OPE without bilingual staff, which is not acceptable. 3, we are happy to hear that the bilingual pre-K3 program at School 22 has been restored. However, we are concerned that these changes were not brought to the attention of the BEC by the district, which goes against the 2022 bylaws. Article 2, Item 3 clearly states that the BEC will consult with the district in the design, implementation, and location of bilingual programs. Finally, if the district wants to truly engage and empower bilingual families, then the communication needs to be proactive and reciprocal. Our interactions with the district this past year have been purely reactive engagement due to a lack of authentic communication and follow-through on requests and questions we bring forward. I'm going to say it in Spanish now. Buenas tardes, señor superintendente y comisionados. Les pedimos que por favor lean el PDF del reporte del concilio de este mes. El comité ejecutivo del BSE se reunió esta mañana. Queremos compartir a la Junta de Educación y al público que el concilio ha pedido muchas veces información sobre el número de trabajadores bilingües en las escuelas del distrito y sus roles. Una y otra vez escuchamos a la comunidad decir que faltan administradores bilingües, trabajadores sociales y maestras para nuestros estudiantes y familias. Con este fin, tenemos 4 peticiones. Número 1, necesitamos una lista actualizada con los nombres y posiciones de directores, subdirectores y equipo administrativo bilingüe, especialmente de aquellos en escuelas con programas bilingües y en posiciones que interactúen con familias y estudiantes. Este es un punto de partida básico. Número 2, nos hemos enterado que por lo menos 3 trabajadores bilingües han sido separados de la oficina de Parent Engagement. Esto deja a la oficina sin equipo bilingüe, lo cual no es aceptable. Número 3, nos alegra escuchar que se ha restablecido el programa bilingüe pre-K de la Escuela 22. Sin embargo, nos preocupa que el distrito no comunicó esta propuesta al BS, lo que incumple los estatutos del 2022. El artículo 2.3 establece claramente que el BS consultará con el distrito el diseño, la implementación y ubicación de los programas bilingües. Número 4. Finalmente, si el distrito verdaderamente busca dialogar y empoderar a las familias bilingües, necesita adoptar un modelo proactivo y recíproco. Nuestras interacciones con el distrito este año han sido meramente reactivas debido a una falta de comunicación auténtica y al incumplimiento de nuestras peticiones y preguntas. Agradecemos su tiempo. Thank you for your time.
Muchas gracias, Ms. Meehan. And so as we move forward, the board may convene into executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment of a particular entity, claims settlement, and/or to receive the advice of the general counsel as permitted by sections 105 of the Open Meetings Law. Entertaining a motion to enter executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Griffin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll return right after this executive session. Welcome back, and thank you for your patience. The Rochester Board of Education's business meeting is reconvening, and again, today is April 23rd, time check 7:09. We're going to move forward with our board reports, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Dr. Rosser for the monthly financial report that'll be presented.
Thank you very much, Board President. I have Mr. McDowell, who's walking up to the podium to, provide an update on the monthly financial report. Mr. McDowell.
Thank you, Dr. Rosser. Can you hear me there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So again, we have our monthly financial report. This is as of the March 30th or 31st date. We start with our cash flow balance, and the one thing about March is when we receive about 25% of our overall state aid. And if you look at total receipts for the current year, they equated to about $237 million. About $200 million of that is state aid money, or slightly a little more. End of the month, we have about $578 million in the bank, which is about $32 million more than we had last year at this time. If you keep moving, you get into your revenue summaries. We have increase year to year, or for the entire year, of about $156,000 in total for the general fund, and for grants, about $7.4 million. In total, we expect that the general fund will continue to stay in that $150,000 to $200,000 range in total increases. But grants, we expect that will increase as we continue to get modifications with carryovers and certain other grants being approved. One thing to bring up in section C right here, if you remember from last month, our percentages of monies available were much higher. And you'll hear this in the report when we talk about the Oracle work that is being done. We are starting to now have more payroll hit our general ledger, which means that we're actually having payroll salaries being counted against grants, which is what is supposed to happen. When we reported out about a month ago or so ago, those numbers were in the 50 to 60% range, and now you see we're about 45% available for general fund and about 43% for school food service. The grants are lagging somewhat behind, but when we get to May, those percentages will drop also. If we move to our cash fund or cash balances for general fund, you'll see the totals that we have in the bank. Most important numbers to focus on are the monies that we have in New York class. We have almost $460 million in the bank. In NY class, earning somewhat slightly more than 3%, and that's where most of our local share comes from in our revenues. If you move to the next page, you'll see our cash flow statement. And you can see the blue and gold highlighted areas for March, and you can see on the second line where our state and federal aid of $193 million comes in, and that's compared to about $180 last year. Total, again, of $578 million in the bank currently, with comparing total of $546 million for last year. We then start to move into your revenue summaries. Probably the most important thing to look at here for your revenue summaries are the total revenue that is taken in. That's a bar graph there. But right here, where you see for total revenues, we have about $681 million that we've received of the $811 million in total. So about 82 to 85% of our monies for revenues we've received then so far. The rest of that money will come at the end of May and then subsequently in June. In regards to the other sources of revenue for your other funds, your school aid and your lunch services. For lunch services, most of your revenues, it's based on spending, so we get that as it comes. And for special aid, there's a lag there because we're now just getting payroll to hit the general ledger. In regards to your profit and loss statements, the next few pages, which talk about our expenses and what we've spent, these percentages are starting to reflect payroll hitting the actual general ledger. So you'll see more, or you'll actually see less monies available as we move to April, May, and June. Pages 13 through 49 are all about your budget transfers. And the one thing to remember with our budget transfers, all of these are zero-sum transfers at the end. So wherever we move it from, there's a reflective journal entry to zero those out. And then lastly, your charter school tuition budget, minimal change here compared to last month. Again, the budget for charter schools is about $120.7 million, and we're slated to spend about $121 million, so about a $400,000 gap, and we think that will be offset in the next couple of months as students move from charter schools back to the district. Any questions?
Colleagues, any questions?
Seeing none, thank you very much for the financial report. And at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the monthly financial report as stated.
So moved.
Introduced. Moved by Vice President Malloy.
President
seconded
Simmons.
by Commissioner Feynman. All in favor?
President Simmons.
I'm sorry.
So you're approving the April report, the third quarter student activities fund, and the quarterly change order report. You only said the monthly financial report.
I'm sorry.
So I wanna
Thank
make-
you to
no
include
problem.
all stated at this time. And we do have the motion on the table with the amendment. With that, is that acceptable, General Counsel? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And thank you, Clerk Nguyen, for bringing that to my attention. We have the President's report. I'm going to just start making this a written report for people to read at their leisure at some point, but it is stated as verbal right now. So I'm just going to quickly just express that, you know, I'm anywhere and everywhere, and many of us are going into our school communities and meeting with people and supporting our community. As far as myself, I'll just highlight a couple of things that I've done most recently, and that is meeting with members of the state delegation, getting updates on where we are financially, with the governor's run to keep a pulse on the budget developments. Of course, I speak very often with Superintendent Rochester to ensure I'm informed around those pieces. But I'm also met recently with the president of the city council and County Ledge, Versa Roman, and that would also be Miguel Melendez. And we've had some great conversation that we'll be going into our collective bodies to see where we can find synergies and alignment. As we know, a lot of work happens in our area, but it doesn't always happen in collection. And so breaking down silos will be a very strong, important part of the work. And finally, I'd love to acknowledge this past weekend, the Board of Education, along with district administration, met with and state monitor, and oh my goodness, we were all there. And you were there, Annie Ann, and you, Scarecrow. It was wonderful, right? And we were with the Council for Great City Schools, and we really leaned into additional work around our governance training and understandings. And so it was just, I felt it was very good and well-received. Lots of learning happened and lots more to come. We'll be getting some updates. We're moving towards our student progress monitoring. And so we're starting to make our way toward that very important work that will have us focused on student outcomes. And I'm hopeful for that. And so that concludes the President's verbal report for this evening. Superintendent Rosser, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much. And I have about 12 or 10 slides that I just want to sort of highlight some of the things that have been happening in the district. You know, of course, you know, we hear too many times about things that are going wrong in the district, but as we all know, as educators, as our parents, particularly our students, that they're engaging in a number of things that most certainly will support their academic success as well as their positive youth development. So one of the things I want to sort of highlight in my report tonight is Diesel Days. So Edison Tech recently hosted its 5th annual Diesel Days, showcasing high-demand career paths in transportation and manufacturing. By bringing heavy equipment and industry experts directly to campus, Edison provided students with hands-on experience in welding and heavy truck operation. This event, of course, goes beyond the traditional field trips that many of our students are familiar with and brings the classroom and the workforce directly to their school. The experience allowed our students the opportunity to prepare themselves for immediate success after graduation. Our own student representative to the board, who is a student at Edison, Elijah Espada and Nayana Ortiz, recently represented the Monroe County delegation at the Angelo del Toro Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute in Albany. After months of training on legislative procedures, the students participated in the mock assembly session on the state assembly floor to debate the impact of artificial intelligence. Elijah was notably voted an outstanding delegate by his peers, an honor that will earn him a trip to Washington, D.C. this June to advocate for our community with national officials. We are incredibly proud of these students for demonstrating that Rochester's next generation of leaders is ready to tackle the challenges of the future. Next, Tasha Leas, a speech teacher at School 16, was recently honored with the News 8 Golden Apple Award for her impact on her students. She was nominated by Asia Constantine, the mother of her former student Mickey, who credited Ms. Lias with helping her son say his first complete sentence. This recognition highlights the dedication that Ms. Lias and many of our other teachers brings to helping students find their voices and achieve milestones. We congratulate her on this well-deserved honor and thank her for her continued commitment to the success of our students. Next, our junior ROTC programs demonstrated incredible grit and discipline at a recent national fitness competition in the bluegrass state of Kentucky. Students from early college, Edison and Padilla competed in the National Raiders Fitness competition at Fort Knox, navigating a tough course against 300 teams from around the world. Meanwhile, cadets from early college successfully completed in a scabbard and blade competition, where they retained a traveling trophy. I want to congratulate Ashley Lopez from Edison for being named an MVP, and Jemiah Shaw from early college, whose individual drill win was instrumental in early college's victory. These young leaders represent the true meaning of determination and teamwork. Furthermore, a national recognition to the Rochester City School District. The Rochester City School District has been honored with the 2026 Best Communities for Music Education designation, making our 8th consecutive year receiving this national distinction. Shout out to Rebecca Fox, who is the executive director of the arts program, as well as her phenomenal team for making this happen. The award recognizes school districts from across the country that have demonstrated a commitment to providing music access and high-quality education to all students. To earn this title, the district provided detailed answers about funding, instructional time, and community support, with all data being verified by Wolf Brown, a renowned arts research firm. This achievement is a validation of the incredible talent of our students and the hard work of our educators, along with the fact that the Rochester City School District continues to support art and music education in our school district. Next, And this is really a shout out to Dr. Miller and his team and their work with the Teach Rochester initiative that we reactivated earlier this year. This is just an update. Across 668 teachers and teaching assistants, 82% are either already certified or actively progressing towards certification. This reflects strong progress through our internal pipeline strategy and targeted certification supports. Since September 2022, the district has made significant progress in developing a sustainable and diverse qualified educator pipeline through the Teacher Certification Action Plan. Across a cohort of 668 teachers and teaching assistants, 82, as I mentioned, 82% are either fully certified or actively progressing towards certification, demonstrating that the Teach for Rochester initiative and the supports that the district continues to put behind those who are interested in serving in our classroom is most certainly beneficial, not only to the individuals, but more importantly, to our students. This program is also advancing workforce diversity in meaningful ways. Overall, 62% of participants identify as African American or of African descent, indigenous, or people of color, with particularly strong representation among teaching assistants at 82%. The data underscore the effectiveness of structured supports, including tuition partnerships, certification guidance, mentoring, and professional learning, reducing barriers and accelerating certification progress. Overall, TCAP demonstrates that the district's internal pipeline strategy is producing measurable results. Next slide, please. So, of course, we're in the season of budget. And the season of budget is most certainly something that we all are highly engaged in, and people are tuning in to, every conversation that is being had about the budget. I am sharing that next Thursday during our budget deliberation meeting, I will be providing greater detail as to what the district's plans are for moving this budget forward. We will have, of course, a budget deliberation on Tuesday in which we invite individuals to either tune in or come out to listen to. But the one thing that I do need to sort of elevate as a reality of the Rochester City School District, while we are faced with budgetary decisions that need to be made, it is important to be able to contextualize those decisions. The decisions that will need to be made isn't a debate about the philosophical understanding that our children need more. Everyone on this dais agrees with that. People in the community agree with that. Staff members agree with that. The challenge we face as the Rochester City School District is one of finances. It's one of projected revenues, and the projected revenues not meeting the projected expenditures. When we look at our deficit over the next several years, we understand that we are facing a calamity if the school district does not receive additional revenues. At the start of our budget hearing last week, or earlier this week, I encouraged our community, and I'll continue to encourage our community to form a coalition that works very closely with our local delegation in fighting for more money to the Rochester City School District. I also encourage for a coalition of individuals to fight what's happening in Washington, D.C. And we all will have an opportunity, of course, in November of going to the voting polls and articulating our voices about what is happening at the federal level when it comes to public education. But it's important that we also recognize that here in Rochester that we have some significant challenges. And one of the things that we discussed and we will be rolling out, understanding that we are facing some budgetary calamities moving forward. This summer, we will be pulling together and encouraging all members of our community to come out so that we can have discussions around how do we close the budget gaps moving forward in a way that is going to be beneficial to all children, a way that is still going to elevate academic achievement, in a way that's going to support our children's social, emotional, and wellness health. So that is to come, and that is my promise to this community in being and leading the conversations around what might we do collectively to address this issue that we see before us. Lastly, I do want to highlight, because of course, during our budget hearing, we heard about concerns about what is being proposed based upon the incomplete budget that we have, and it's incomplete because we're still awaiting for all of our numbers from Albany. What is being signaled to us is that the budget from the state may not be approved until well after our board takes action with approving our budget. What I wanted to highlight, and we will discuss more next Thursday, are those things that are aligned to our board goals that are found in the preliminary draft budget. I'm not going to go through this in detail right now because I will most certainly utilize next Thursday to be able to comprehensively speak about those things that are highlighted in our budget, along with those things that we might need to make some changes and develop action plans as to how we're going to brace for a decline in the amount of revenue to be able to address our expenditures. Some of the next steps associated with the budget process: this upcoming Monday, we have a city council budget hearing in which, our budget deliberation, I should say deliberation, budget deliberation. On April 28th, we will have a board budget deliberation, and as I mentioned, on April 30th, that deliberation will continue, but I will have an opportunity to really showcase the entirety of our budget, those things that are great in our budget, those things that we may need to walk away from or step back from, and then what the plans are in the event that we have to step back from those things, what the plans are to make sure that our students still have exactly what they need. On May 5th, the board meeting will happen to adopt the budget, and then on June 20th, the city council vote on the budget will take place as well. So this concludes my update for the month of April, and I entertain any questions that commissioners might have of me at this moment.
Thank you, Superintendent Rosser. No questions on the presentation at hand? With none, we're going to move forward on the agenda, and which is going to bring us to the consideration of resolutions, being the consent agenda items. Just a reminder for commissioners, and the public around the consent agenda items are discussed during our work session. This month, they were discussed during our April 7th work session. Then we as commissioners have a couple of weeks to unpack some of those resolutions that we've forwarded to the consent agenda to get additional clarity if some is needed. And then at the business meeting being this evening, we then have these items on the consent agenda being resolutions 503 through 534. And I'd like to entertain a motion to recognize the consent agenda items, to approve the consent agenda
Second.
items. Motion by Commissioner LeBron, seconded by Vice President Malloy. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Or open for discussion, I guess I should, no, not open for discussion, I just said this thing and still did it. All right, with none, the consent agenda, the consent agenda moves forward. We're going to move on to the human capital resolutions at this time. And these are resolutions 535 through 547, entertaining a motion.
President Simmons?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. We have an amendment to Resolutions 535 and 539. Asking to call for an amendment.
An amendment to 535 and 539.
Yes.
Okay.
So what's the amendment?
So, what I'm, yeah, I'm.
So
I'm
on
gonna just-
Resolution 535, if you look, there is dates in the second paragraph, June and October, requesting to change June to January.
Hold on one second.
January 30th?
Okay, I'm sorry, Chief Wilson, repeat one more time for the Resolution 535, the amendment is to the date. Say that one more time. so
Yes,
that-
looking to amend June
June.
to January.
To January. Okay. So that should read January to October 2025.
Yes.
And then your second resolution amendment for 539 is,
To add a letter to the name, there's a spelling error, so the the correct spelling is Mellenen as in Nancy, Thine.
okay, thank you, that information is received at this time. So board colleagues, I'm going to open this up. Again, this is we have a motion, entertaining motion for resolutions 535 through
Simmons?
540.
I'm sorry. You have to make a motion for the amendment first, and then there'll be a
Oh, I was
second.
going to make it second. I was going there, but I got to do that first now?
Unless you want to separate the numbers.
Well,
So you might not want to bundle it in that way.
let me just work through this a little bit.
Do we need to withdraw?
I'll get there. So, and I'll probably have to do what you just said, but resolutions 535 through 547, I would like to entertain a motion for those resolutions with the amendments as presented to 535 and 539. Is that safe, or?
Just to interject, you want to make the motion for the amendment first, so make the motion for
Well,
the
she just tried to
amendments.
tell me and I wouldn't listen to it. Okay.
She knows what she's doing.
Okay.
So you make the motion for the amendment, and if the board accepts the amendment, then you then make a motion for the
Thought I was a
amended
big girl.
packet
I'm
again.
not yet. Okay, so entertaining a motion for the amendments to resolutions 535 and 539 as presented.
So moved?
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Griffin. All in favor from my board colleagues for 535 and 539 amendments? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so those motions to the amendments carry. Thank you, Clerk Nguyen, once again. And with that, entertaining a motion for 535 through 547
As amended?
as amended. Vice President Malloy,
To where they moving to?
Commissioner LeBron, okay, and all in favor?
Do we have to discussion?
Oh, open for discussion, I do apologize.
That's what it,
Thank you.
oh, okay.
Which numbers, give me, I'm sorry.
So these are resolutions 535 through 547, the human capital resolutions, open for discussion. Thank
Yeah,
you.
oh, we can talk.
Commissioner Santiago?
Yeah, I just want to say that I'll be voting yes for all of the resolutions besides Resolution 335. Just need more information to make the right choice on that resolution.
Was that 535? Commissioner Santiago?
Yes,
Okay, you said 335,
Yes.
but we got you, and I know what you mean. So 535, he is a no.
I second that.
I agree.
Okay. Feynman, a no as well? All right, and that's the board majority, and I will align with the will of my colleagues at this time. So now, can we table that? Let me get some clarity on how we would need to move with that.
So
we have to vote on
the board's practices, I mean, I think the commissioners are talking about that one resolution.
they'd
So
like
so
more
they
information.
can continue to vote on the rest of the packet. So if it's just with the exception of 535, and the board can take the vote as normal.
So is it simple, or are we tabling it? I just want to make sure. Are we
Voting on it.
tabling for more information, or we're voting just no?
It's an open resolution. We would
We have to
We
vote.
just have to vote it no, and then still follow up
Okay,
later.
uh,
Got it.
One second. The board could table it to a future date, or the board can't vote on it now. It's the intent of the commissioner, so the commissioners just have to be clear as to what they're doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that clarity because one statement was that we wanted more information, so I didn't know if we wanted to vote to table that resolution for more information, or if we're just voting no on it. And I'm fine with whatever that's going to be. I just wanted clarity.
And I asked for legal clarity too, but Adrian, I'm sorry, let me talk into the mic, I'm sorry, y'all. The motion is open with all these resolutions. So do we have to then rescind this motion, re-motion, but we don't remove, that is the administration has to call to uplift. They should have removed this resolution. I just want to say, we shouldn't even have had to do, this should have been removed because I don't know who would have voted for it. So, and right now it's going to fail, right? But we're legally required to also do the thing that resolution says. So there has to be a balance in this, but.
So I think the easiest course of action at this time would be to rescind this and just single it out and get the rest of them voted on. So at this time, I'm going to rescind the motion, the open
Withdraw.
motion for withdraw, thank you. Motions 535 through 47.
Second.
Vice President, okay, excuse me, Commissioner LeBron, Vice President Malloy, and so all in favor? Aye. Okay, so this group of resolutions has now been withdrawn, and starting from scratch, we will,
Administration has to withdraw the resolution, right? We don't have the authority to withdraw their resolutions, even by a board.
we can only vote it down at this point, to your point, or.
But they should remove it and ask to bring it back, that's all.
If the board is asking me a question, the resolution is before the board right now. The board has, any options. The vote is yours. The board can vote on it. The board can send it to a future date. If the administration is withdrawing it, you are correct. Withdrawal is typically the superintendent's call. So absent the superintendent making a call on a withdrawal, the board can either vote on it up or down, or the board can, table to a future date.
Thank you. You all have the
I have
clarity?
it. Yeah, I have it. So what are they gonna do?
My recommendation, and of course it's always up to the board, but is for it to be moved to a future date so we can get the information that we need.
Right, if the stated reason for not voting on this was that someone stated they needed more clarity,
Right.
to get the clarity would need to table it to a future date. And so is that the will of the board at this time?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so with and that was Resolution 535 we're talking about, right?
Right.
So let's just focus on that little girl there, and because
Be a boy.
I clearly can't
Be a boy.
multitask. So entertaining a motion to move Resolution 535 to a future date. Would that date then be, do we need a timeline on that being maybe the next work session, which is, can you tell me, Clerk
With
Quinn?
additional information, how long is they gonna take it to give it to us?
When is the next work
So the
session?
next work session is May 12th.
12.
Well,
Yeah, in that, and I don't know if this is offline or if this is open conversation, but what is needed is an understanding of what information needs to be provided to the board for the board to then make an informed decision about this. And I'm not certain
Any
if that has to
additional-
be stated for the record or how we proceed with getting clarity as to what is sought for board members to have additional information.
Well, I would say, I think if board members could be general because we're talking about individual employees. So long as it is things that will protect the confidentiality, obviously it's like legal questions and things like that, I would suggest that happen not on the dais. If there is just very general information that the board requires, I think the members can say that. If we're getting into the details of specific employees and those type of conversations, I would suggest that not happen on the dais.
Yeah, I think that the best course of action might be to have, in the second executive session, to provide some clarity around what our request is. But what we do understand is that we are looking to table this into the board's next work session, which is May 12th. And I think I've already got the motion, so all those in favor, motion?
I didn't hear a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just.
Microphone, please, microphone, microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Camille?
No, she's.
I think, though, I just want to point out, right, just for the new administration, in future, when we, in the past, have gotten these types of resolutions for these wonky additional pays, there were at least some dates, not no blanket dates, June through, that does not make any sense to me. So I don't have any problems whatsoever with anybody on there, and if they work, then legally they deserve to be paid, and we should pay them. However, we should not be voting on a resolution that does not clarify the dates that we are paying additional pay to employees. And if you look at our other additional pay resolutions, even within this packet, you're going to see that there's already a format that identifies how additional pay should be addressed. This is a cleanup at best, but I just want to put that on record. So what information we would need, a lot more than just this.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, thank you, Commissioner LeBron, in addition to those pieces, I think executive summary or something outlining the scope of service that what additional pay came with. So we can discuss the rest, and it seems we're amenable for the May 12th work session to have that follow-up discussion. Some just for safety, entertaining a motion to move Resolution 535 to the May 12th work session for
Motion.
additional discussion. Motion by Commissioner Griffin,
Motion.
seconded by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that resolution. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so at this time, entertaining a motion for resolutions 536 through 547 with the amendment discussed for 539.
So moved.
Move.
Malloy, seconded by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
He keeps saying that.
Hey, baby, he getting it lag time? Must be a lag time.
Thiago, thank you for joining us online. We're all discussing your lag time, but we're gonna get you, sir. We're gonna make sure we hear your voice. We do have we're moving into the next section of the agenda, which is the Board of Education, Legal and Audit, starting with the 26-27 board calendar. I was taking a look at the calendar attached and found some opportunities to get that thing lined up. Some of the dates might be a little off, and I'm not sure what we're looking at, but for example, the second budget deliberation, some of the dates are just not aligning. Let me go down and see what I'm looking at. Like the business meeting tonight is not on the 22nd, it's tonight, the 23rd. The second budget deliberation is on the 28th.
President
So
Simmons?
Yes, Clerk Nguyen?
627
This is for
calendar
26,
year.
27. Thank you, God. I was like, this is terrible.
Like, none of these dates
Full
add up.
speed ahead.
You're ahead, girl.
What is happening? I try to, when I think I got it, I'm gonna get it though. Okay, so, well, with that said,
Right.
so entertaining a motion for the 26-27 board calendar as stated.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor? Aye. Or open for discussion, thank you. With none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Make it, okay. And so with that, entertaining a motion for resolutions 548 through 551 at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy. Aye. Seconded by Commissioner Griffin. And this is open for discussion, 548 through 551.
We doing 551?
With no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, no written reports? Oh, they are, hold on, let me look at my board docs.
Resolutions corrected.
On mine they are.
Okay, now we have the written reports, monthly attendance report, monthly suspension report, and Medicaid reports are attached on board docs for folks' review.
Log in.
Can I just, because I did go through the Medicaid report.
Me too.
Yeah,
Got a question.
I just want to highlight that there, we're leaving revenue again, and like year after year, I know we've gotten better, but, I know, and we can have additional conversations, because when the previous superintendent was here, there were conversations around giving that office the support. And I get that Medicaid is so complex, right? But we're leaving money on the table when we're also looking at making cuts. And these are in areas where we could literally be saving social workers and other fund, you know what I mean? There's a balance here, and it's almost $1 million that's projected right now that we will leave on the table for not having paperwork. So.
Thank you.
I second that, because I was wondering the same things of why there is so much being left in. There's a lot of things that's just compliance failures. And so what are the systems that we have in place to try to recoup some of this funds?
Because we have historically had Medicaid compliance issues, and I will not belabor the points, but it seems, Superintendent Rosser, you.
Yeah, one of
were
the
gonna
things
comment?
we'll do, and I know that March of 2025, Mike Sosa, who is leading this effort, came and presented to the board, and we can most certainly schedule for him to come back to present to the board. There's some systemic issues, system issues associated with all of this, and we are working to make sure that the process of connecting the dots is not encumbered with the issues that we have historically seen. But we can most certainly have Mike Sosa come and do a presentation to share with all, the improvements, the efforts that continue to be made around this. To Commissioner LeBron's point, these are dollars that are being left on the table, and the systems and structures that are in place, unfortunately, are leading to us not being able to access the funding as we need to.
Any other concerns around the reports that attendance and suspension reports we have there? And that is available to the viewing public. I'm going to move forward on to unfinished business at this time, where we have the progress monitoring calendar. And I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Ross.
So the work that we've been engaged in with the Council of Great City Schools, of course, has been phenomenal work here in the Rochester City School District. As a part of that, we as administration had the responsibility of identifying interim goals and guardrails and developing a 3-year calendar by which we would then do presentations. At our April work session meeting, we kind of provided a draft of what that might look like, and this evening, we're here to present the final form of the interim goals and guardrails report schedule. So, Chief Wilson, can you take us through what the team and yourself have been able to accomplish?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Rosser, President Simmons, Commissioners. Good evening. Before you is our final draft for the progress monitoring calendar. The calendar provides a multi-year roadmap for when the board will receive updates on interim goals and guardrails. While the reporting structure is designed to ensure each update clearly explains what is happening, who is impacted, why it's happening, and what the district is doing in response, including whether the actions are making a difference. The process is intended to support the board in the governance by creating clear structure for monitoring progress towards the board's adopted goals and guardrails. So each report will include outcome trends, leading indicators, student group analysis, root cause, strategies, evidence of impact, and then our next steps. The goal is to move beyond just simply presenting the data, but it's to drive conversations about strategies and outcomes. In addition, the process establishes as a review cadence. So what you'll see is that each goal will be reported out 4 times. Each guardrail will be reported out once throughout the calendar school year. It repeats, so you see 3 years before you. However, if we find after year 1, some of the assessments aren't in the right place or the cadence aren't right, we would come to the board for a revisement of the calendar so that it aligns to all of our assessments. Superintendent Rosser?
Can you repeat the last thing you said for me, please? Like the last 2 sentences, I didn't hear them.
What did I say? So I was just referencing that if the assessment calendar happens to not fall in a way that's appropriate for us to report out certain goals, we would come before you to ask for a revisement of the actual calendar before we did so.
So colleagues, any additional questions? We have one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one too, President Simmons.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Commissioner Santiago.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, so there are some points in the calendar where, like, let's say May, so May is one of the recurrent dates where there's no reporting on those times. But then also under where it says goal report and guardrail report, like there's some that says, for example, I just saw one that said like 2AB4. Here we go. 1A, 1B, 4, and this is for February 2028, sorry. And so it's like the 4 at the end, are you saying for goal 4? And I just also want to say this is also not just for us as a board, but also our community who's watching. And so it would be good if this was a little bit more clear. I know something's been added, but some parts, is not making sense, like for the February 2027 and the missing dates also.
So Chief Wilson, can you provide, why there are certain dates like May 2028 that doesn't have a report that's going to be, as well as May 2027 and some other dates?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Santiago. There are a few months where you will not see reporting, but there are also other reports that we deliver to the board through policy deliverables, through the academic and fiscal plan. And in some of those months, although there might not be a written report for the board goals or the guardrails, there are other reports that are due at that time where there potentially could be a presentation just simply from the board policy deliverables. As you see before you, each goal is at the top of the document, and we can work on this. I talked to Clerk Nguyen today about an easy way to read this. At the top of the document, you will see references to the links that provides what 1C is, what 1B is. Those are our interim goals. And when I initially tried to create a user-friendly document, putting those goals when we're reviewing, it's so many words that it very much overshadows the actual calendar. So what we'll do is we'll go back and play with it to see how we can make it user-friendly. Also keeping in mind that when we do come before the board to present these written reports, there will be a glossary of definitions that might help our community as well as commissioners understand what we're talking about as it pertains to assessments. And we'll have a working document as we go along, and we feel that there needs to be some clarity made. We will do that through the glossary.
And one of the things we may want to consider, Chief Wilson, is, when we post this online, just doing hyperlinks for each of these, so as individuals who may be looking at this online, if they then go over to May 28th, 2026 and 2A, they can just simply click on 2A and it will take them directly to that particular interim goal. So we may want to think about it that way. And that way it makes it a little bit more easier to assess versus someone going to the second page and seeing April 2027 for A and then having to go all the way back up to then click. So it gives them immediate access. We may want to play around with that.
Yeah, I like that, and I think that's what Vice President Malloy had proposed the last time. It just becomes user-friendly in that regard. I do want to open up for commissioners, and I have a hand by Vice President Malloy at this time.
If you already answered this, I'm very sorry. When I click on the board guardrails and interim guardrails, when I click on that document, what pops up
Other superintendents.
for, sorry, for the guardrails and goals draft, the percentages aren't listed there, the ones that are highlighted. Have we not approved those yet, or we just don't have that information at this time?
This was a year of collection. And so as you see the guardrails, once they were approved, there's some interims in there that we created for baseline data. That
Okay.
it did not exist as written as the guardrails.
Okay, if you already answered that, I'm so sorry.
No problem.
I have a question for the, I'm just out of curiosity, can you walk me through? So I noticed that all of the goals and the interim goals, they're situated out and they're kind of fleshed out so that you're hitting all of them throughout the year, right? But one of them, the 3C, for students with disabilities and monitoring their progress. So we start the year off, and I just help me wrap my head. We start the year off in October looking at the sixth grade, third grade, 6 through 8 in the third grade monitoring, but then we don't hit the students with disabilities until March. And they are some of our most vulnerable students. And then when we look at our testing, they are some of our students that score the least across the board. So I just need some help understanding why are we looking at them so far into the year and not something closer up so that we can have a better understanding of how we're working with them and making the strategies. And you guys are making the strategies to work with them way before March.
Sure. So if you look, we also have about 3-month span of just presenting the goal in its entirety. That is because at that time, that's when the state will release the Regents exam scores and we'll be able to dive in deep. So during those presentations in Goal 1, Goal 2, and Goal 3, we will then provide you information on where all of our students fare, whether they're students with disabilities, student E&L students, all of that data would be coming to you when we go over the goal in its entirety. What is important to know is that because we have to get through all of the goals 4 times a year, we want to make sure that we at least are able to provide you with the state data right away. So the students with exceptionalities comes right after that, but there's 3 months where we're talking really deeply about our reading scores, our math scores, and then how our freshman students are faring as it comes to the state assessments.
Okay, I got to push back a little bit. You said that we're going to be looking at the goals in their entirety, and then going into the interim goals after that, correct?
Well, so the way that we receive our state data, what we would really like to do is provide you with how we fared the previous year right away so that you understand where we're headed and the direction. But our state data doesn't fall
Right.
Conveniently that way. And so the goal is, since it's always lagging, right, we want to give you that information as soon as we receive it.
But
So based on when the state provides us our information, we're coming to you right away to review that. When I say in its entirety, that's inclusive of all the interims that exist in that goal so if we're going to go over ELA data, grades 3 through 8, we're also going to include how our students with exceptionalities scored. We're also going to include our E&L students. All populations and all demographics and subgroups will then be reported to you at that time. So I understand that the specific interim won't be until March, but the goals itself, you'll be hearing that for the 3 months every board meeting, we will be reviewing the goal in its entirety, meaning that the state data would be back, and we'd be able to give you a more holistic view of how our students did the previous year.
Okay, and then the data that we're going to be looking, because I know that the state data is slow, and we get it way after the kids take their testing, but we're also going to be looking at the other data, like the CFAs and all of that information in the meantime to help give us some kind of benchmark of what we should be looking at, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So all data will be aggregated and disaggregated and student demographic friendly. And are there any additional questions regarding thank you so much around this calendar, because I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone.
I don't have a question. I just want to say I have a lot more clarity from the last time we talked about this after the weekend we all spent together, and I wanted to say thank you for everyone who joined us so that I understand more clearly what is going into this and how we're going to go forth. And I just wanted to thank you all for joining us.
I think we got to win.
President Simmons,
Yes.
just really quickly, because only one part was covered, but for February 2028, it says what's covered is 1A, 1B, 4. I'm just trying to understand what that stands for. February 2028.
The 4, I need to cross the 4 out. It should be 1B.
Okay. Is that,
Thank
but
you.
just so you know, it's under a couple of dates.
We'll make that change.
Thank you. It sounds like that. Thank you, Commissioner Santiago, for that note. And I don't know if you heard Superintendent Rosser, they're going to make the modifications to any of those pieces that need correcting.
Right.
And so we do have the progress monitoring calendar before us. I'm trying to see it here. We do need to vote on it, but there are a couple of corrections. Can we vote on it with anticipated corrections, I guess, at this point? So with the anticipation those corrections are happening, entertaining a motion for the progress monitoring with the anticipated corrections.
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Feynman. All in favor of the progress monitoring calendar?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Wilson, for all your hard work and effort in putting this together.
Okay, Superintendent Rosser on Oracle.
Is it? Oh, okay. So as we have done previously, we want to give a update on where we're at with Oracle. Chief McDowell?
I just want to make sure, for the calendar, for the one that we just did, we're approving that without the changes? Did we just approve it without the changes, or?
We approved it with
We
anticipation.
approved it with the anticipation of the changes, so so the changes that were recognized that need to happen, they're going to make those modifications
Along
for
with
us.
those changes being reflected in the board docs as well.
Okay.
The
When are those
typos.
changes supposed to be effective? Or when you supposed to be, I just want for clarity. I apologize.
Yeah, it'll be done by tomorrow morning. if not-
Tomorrow morning?
If not
So
tonight.
we're going to get an update by tomorrow morning?
Yep, if not tonight, because there's only a few changes.
No, I'm just saying, I just
Yeah.
want to make that clear for the record.
Thank you.
it's
So we
gonna
have
be
Chief
okay,
McDowell, who's
go
going to
ahead.
now
I just
present
wanna make
on
sure.
Oracle at this
Okay,
time.
thanks.
Thank you, Board President. So as we've done since October of last year, we've given you an update on Oracle. And if you remember back in October, the number of juror tickets we had were approximately 1,800. And now we're going to start from January, where we started, where the number was about 439. And subsequently to that, in February, the number was about 319. And again, more improvement in March, where the total was 214. And as of today, that number is 143. So we continue to diligently work to improve upon getting people paid, resolving their pay issues, and any concerns that they have in regards to payroll. We are not perfect, but we are getting better, and the whole goal is to get to a point where we are self-sufficient. Updates on issues that we have. We have a couple of them, and actually I can share some good news. Our TRS report for July has not been bounced back by the state, so I'm really happy about that. We have a couple minor things to take care of, and we expect that that report will be accepted by early next week. We've already submitted our August and September reports, and we're getting the same responses for July that we have for August and September. So what I'm expecting is by the next time we see you in May, that we will be in the 2026 area or months of reporting for TRS. So that is really good movement, and I want to applaud the team for getting that taken care of. In regards to payroll, you heard me say earlier that the payroll starting to hit the general ledger, and that's why the percentage of monies available are lower in overall expenses or encumbered funds, because the payroll is actually starting to hit the ledger, so we can have an idea of how we're spending. My expectation is for the May report, when I come to see you, that we will be actually in the 2026 calendar year for reporting, which will then give us an idea as to how we're performing for the year. So I'm hoping to actually have a report for you that says how we're doing financially in regards to all three of our funds, special aid, general fund, and for your food service. Nova Motors contract, we will be looking to bring an extension of that contract to the board in our next meeting. They are doing yeoman's work for us with our team, and as we encounter issues, we're needing their help in regards to that. So we will have a cumulative summary for you for the next month, and our expectation is that we will need their help for a little longer than expected. Lastly, the RFP for payroll itself, responses were received last Friday. We will be doing our initial screening of groups who have submitted their information in the next couple of weeks, with the expectation that we will be bringing forward the groups that we feel are best suited to help us with this, possibly sometime next month or in early January, or I'm sorry, June. Thank you.
So with that, I just want to open up the floor to my colleagues. Are there any questions or comments regarding this report? Commissioner McCullough.
I do have a question. For the Nova Modis contract extension, just out of curiosity, will we be paying them for work that we're expecting them to do, or are we paying them for work they had already done that's already extension of that contract?
For the most part, it's going to be for work that they're going to do until June 30.
So this is anticipated work that we want them to do, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And that'll be explained when we bring the resolution forward.
okay, thank you.
We're just sort of signaling right now what we're doing, because we just like to keep the board and the community updated. Any additional question, colleagues?
Okay, with none.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr. McDowell.
Got it.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn the mic over to Clerk Nguyen, who will provide a presentation surrounding the Code of Conduct.
Thank you, President Simmons. Before I get started, I just want to mention that the recommendations overview, a clean copy, track change documents have been updated on board docs. Not tonight, they were already updated, but it's an update from the work session, and it's really regarding the student electronic devices. So I'll go over that in the presentation, but just wanted to make sure people were aware. So just quickly, we'll just briefly recap. You all have been talking about this since your March 10th work session, where you originally considered the recommendations, and these are a number of items that you discussed at that time. You decided to table and move it forward to your April 7th work session for additional discussion and determination around if additional committee review is necessary. So at your April 7th work session, you commissioners provided recommendations to the policy and then agreed to continue the discussion instead of forwarding it through the reading process to tonight here at the April 23rd business meeting. So the next two slides cover the recommendations that have been discussed, along with the proposed policy language. President Simmons, is your desire for me to read each one, or I can take them one at a time, or you can, let me know.
I think we can probably do it in a digestible manner, and hitting the high points might be best.
Yeah, so there are a couple of areas where commissioners had questions or concerns related to specific language, starting with the use of the word detention throughout. And so there was a recommendation that detention not be used to take away recess and give lunch detention, especially where it concerns students with behaviors, and then ensure that this aligned to policy 5405. Okay. Following that, on page 14, oh, I'm sorry, let me stop, maybe if there's any questions related to that. Okay. On page 14, there were two areas of the current policy language where there were revisions, and instead of using the terminology "to be aware," oh,
Okay,
I
hold on.
apologize.
So we missed a hand when you did pause.
I'm
and so-
sorry, I was trying to get my microphone to work.
You're okay.
Just for clarity, for the second time, I never said that we should be giving lunch detention. I did say that we should align our code of conduct with the wellness policy and not be taking away recess as detention.
Oh, I'm sorry, perhaps I misspoke when I said that out loud.
No, that is
Oh,
what
you're
that
talking about what it
says.
says. Okay.
You were reading what it says, but that's not what I said.
And so for the record, again, you said align with the wellness. I'll let you speak what you.
So our code of conduct needs to align with the wellness policy, and the wellness policy says we are not allowed to take away recess as detention, period. And nowhere in the code of conduct does it say that. So we need to align, my comment was that we need to align our wellness policy with our code of conduct to make sure that when we talk about detention, we're not taking recess away from children.
Right, so we'll.
For that clarity.
Record. Thank you.
On page 14, there are two statements, items 7 and 9, that use the terminology "to be aware." And instead of using that, it was suggested that you all use the terminology "to inquire about," as highlighted here. Okay. Page 29 was referring to disturbances, so inciting our participation in disturbances. It was noted that there was only one option offered prior to suspension, which was not felt to be helpful or fair to students. So I think you might need some further discussion around what options you would like to add. It currently starts as a level 2.
Want to open this, Commissioner McCullough, did you have a?
So essentially, oh, I'm sorry.
So just for the board, if I'm not mistaken, these options that they're referring to, are these part of the, they're part of the current code, but is this part of the MTSS?
This is found in the matrix section of the Code of Conduct.
This is
where
in
it
the
lists-
matrix part, right? Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I
so
thought.
currently it allows for level 2, 3, and 4. And so if you are looking to alter that, essentially the option is to add level 1, which is classroom interventions.
And then by adding level 1, we add the, we would need to add what that looks like, correct?
Level 1 interventions are already laid out in the matrix.
No, so why is it there?
Needs to be included.
It just needs to be included? So included.
Yeah, so I can tell you,
say
level
included.
1 are classroom supports and the student support team.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And so it's just a lower tier before you get to removal from classroom, or at the other end,
Well, they
long-term
want to see it
suspension.
laid out in there. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I get that. Okay.
So far, just to get a pulse check, so far, the language or pieces that are being presented, it sounds like we're all in agreement and supportive of that. Thank you.
Level 1, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving right along, as I noted before, on page 37, the student electronic devices was updated to align to the state legislation and policy 5695. On page 60, where you discuss the due process for long-term suspensions, there was a note that there was no information provided on the appeals process. And then on page, just two more items, on page 67, it noted, I'm sorry, it noted that school district administrators should not contact parents and guardians unless specifically advised by CPS. And so at that time, there was a comment that there's state legislation pending to make some changes to that. General counsel did advise that because it's not currently law, that we shouldn't adjust, and even if it became law, that it would not affect the district's legal obligations and protocols as it pertains to CPS.
I still hate this. Because I'm curious where the trauma-informed portion of our code of conduct comes in. Because we have to call our parents before we call the RPD, but we don't call our parents when CPS is involved. And I have a problem with this, and I understand that after much deliberation that it is the where we're at the law currently, but it's not trauma-informed. And so I haven't figured out how to fix this yet, and I know we have to vote on it on June, and I know I got 3 more years to fix it. So I think I have to accept it for
You probably
today.
talk to some advocacy centers as well, because, those are the.
But I need to
the
say,
concerns.
this is not trauma-informed. This is not okay.
I'm not arguing that semantic,
Yeah.
I'm stating that, we've got to figure out, and to your point, how do we provide trauma-informed but also be legally compliant, and that is the hard piece, and I 100% hear you on that. Yes.
And finally, throughout the document, there's interchangeable use of dominant and native language, and the recommendation was to change dominant language to native language.
I like that.
So at this time, kind of working backwards, it seems like that there's agreement to change dominant language to native language. Your mic.
Well, let me, yes, but let me say something really quickly, too, before we transition, and then I want to hear you, and then I'm sure we'll have a hand as well, is that, so, I love that the changes that are happening, and I know we have to move toward a vote and all of those things, because it is regulated that we do so. And I'm not sure if it goes in here, but I do recognize that we will need to have a review of our systems in relation to the code of conduct, and oftentimes we can have the best laid plans and strategies, but implementation is where systems tend to fall short, and fidelity around monitoring to ensure that what is expected in the language that we have here is actually followed, and so that system needs to be developed. That's not going to change in this document, but I did want to state that, and Commissioner LeBron does have a hand.
Yeah, no, regarding the dominant language and native, I think I was in the car losing reception for that piece, but I just want to highlight, as someone who is bilingual and has children with Spanish last names, and have had my children, when I first enrolled, be required to do a language assessment, even though they spoke no English because their last names were Cologne. So I just want to highlight that it's not necessarily dominant language, that it is native language. It's not native language, it is dominant language, and that families determine what their dominant language is. We don't get to determine that, because native language has nothing to do with the dominant language that the student is entering into our district. And what that looks like is when we have a family that is, and I'll speak to refugees population, because I worked with refugees in the clinic for over a year. Those students would come in to do these language assessments, which are required, but we would have families that say, I don't want my child in a Spanish class. I want my child in a fully integrated English only, even though Spanish is their native language. So I think we have to be careful, because if we put this down as policy that it's native, and there will be biases from staff around those things, and there's no guardrails to protect those biases, that in trying to sound politically correct in this scope of the work, this has a different connotation and meaning for our families. So I just have to highlight that piece.
So to
Thank you.
make sure I'm understanding you, dominant language would be the appropriate piece, although the suggestion came forward, and it sounds nice, dominant language is the appropriate in the context of this.
In the context of how students are then seen and enrolled and assessed, it's based off of their dominant language that they're able to speak at that time, and not their native. If it was over their native, every Spanish student, whether they spoke Spanish or not, would be looked at to have a language assessment. And so this is where we have to like separate some of the advocacy pieces to governance and what it looks like in a policy to implementation under this system here. This is an education system, and that has a different connotation, not just to us, but to New York State as well. So that alignment. So that's all I wanted. I don't have a personal preference. I just have lived experience and want to highlight that this could end up being differently interpreted down the line by our staff as folks are coming in, and that families should be able to say, regardless of my native language, this
Right.
is the dominant language that I want my child to be educated in.
I think that point is well taken, and I don't see any objections to what was stated there as far as making sure that the document does reflect dominant language from the colleagues. So I just want to make sure, Commissioner Feynman?
But the reason that these are done is so that when it's used in the policy, it says you want to be sent home in the language. So it's not being sent home in English. It's being sent home in the language that is spoken in the home. And that is why this comes up.
And it comes up in other areas in this
But
district too. But
in
let me
this
just
code of
say that.
conduct, though.
Sending someone a memo or a notice from the district in Spanish, again, and I can only speak for Latinos, that's happened to me. I have kids who do not speak Spanish, but they're Spanish too. And I don't read Spanish, but you made the assumption that because I have a Spanish last name, that this is my language. This ain't gonna cut it for me. I think it has to be whatever dominant language, and it has to be captured and asked by the families right in the when they are enrolling. What is your dominant language, your preferred language? Native language could be on there too, but what's your dominant language you prefer the communications in? I do not want us to make assumptions about people's languages and what they can read and write and what, none of that. And I think
Right.
this sets that up for that, with just that simple change. Because again, this has implications across other systems in this district, and it starts at placement.
So I think it becomes a matter of training and, again, the systems implementation, fidelity, monitoring, and making sure folks are on the same page and understand that. Clerk Wynn, do you have clarity around that section of?
I do not.
Okay, what parts do you have question that you?
At first, I thought you were going with native as recommended here, but now it sounds like you're shifting,
She
so.
broke it down pretty lovely, and then I was like, okay, I do understand. It's like calling someone hearing impaired when they are like, no, I'm from the deaf community, and call me that. And so I want to respect that.
Yeah.
Vice President Malloy?
I agree with all the points that have been made. Might we say like preferred language
Yeah, that's it.
instead?
That's in the middle. There we go.
That is-
She
that
solved
is-
world hunger.
That is, could I
Go
ask,
home.
could I,
Preferred language.
could I bring up another, because I'm not sure and I would have to look, but across other policies, what's the language that's used?
That's what I was just asking.
Is it dominant, native, like what is the language preferred? Like what is the language used in other, because if we're going to talk about alignment and keeping it consistent, then that's probably what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
So this is where this is coming, because it's in relations to this piece. I think, yes, we should ask the administration to potentially go back to policies and maybe scour to ensure that there's alignment with it. I don't know how many policies this would come up in. I'm sure it's coming up in school choice for sure.
Yeah,
Right? Like it's there, the language is there.
Yeah, placement, we call it home language.
Yeah.
And placement, yeah.
Home language too works.
So home If it's already called home language in placement, home language would go here.
Want to uplift, we should make it universal so that it does have the same meaning across the policy and everyone has that same collective understanding of how to apply that definition.
Wonderful.
So now I believe I have clarity that home language is going to be used, and board staff will look for other policies that require updates. Okay. So just a couple other quick things, President Simmons, to make sure we have clarity. The other items here, such as, I'm again working backwards, there's no updates, as General Counsel has advised, on the CPS matter. The matter before that related to no information on the appeals process, and for the long-term suspension, there was no comment on how you all would like to address that. You're looking to have that inserted? What was the?
Well, so no information on the appeals process, and I think we said it's light, we don't see it anywhere. We do want to make sure, and you all correct me if I'm missing something or overspeaking, but I believe we want to see clear information to families so that they understand appeal process does in fact exist and what that process looks like. Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, yes, we would like that language, obviously on the website and wherever it's not, and if it's lacking in the code of conduct, somewhere that's easy to see.
It
not
is on the
buried in it.
website, just to clarify. So it is on the board's webpage.
Okay.
But were you looking to have something inserted, I guess we want clarity, into the actual code of conduct
Yes.
itself? Okay, perfect. Obviously, the student electronics was already aligned to meet, and then you all for the item, on page 14, the use of to inquire instead of to be aware, is there agreement to make that change?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. And then lastly, I do recall hearing agreement to add level 1 options for, on page 29, for inciting or participating in a disturbance.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, with that being said, you all would need to forward this out of the business meeting to the work session, which is the reverse of what you typically do, because you need to get it through 3 readings, and that's the next meeting. It will follow an expedited process at this point so that it can make it to the June meeting for a vote, and then the district will have a fresh code of conduct for the 26-27 school year.
Sounds good. So we're going to go ahead and entertaining a motion to forward the code of conduct discussion out of the business meeting to the next work session. Motion by Commissioner McCullough, seconded by Vice President Malloy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? This will move forward, and please know this is a document of continuous improvement. This is revisited each year, so there will be opportunities to continue to unpack, but we are going forward at this time. We're going into second readings, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so second readings are inclusive of policies 0110, 0115, 1900, 1900E1, E2, and E4. Also, service learning policy 4314.3, grading system 4710, and grading system scales 4710E1. So I'd like to entertain a motion to take a look at these policies.
I don't think you need.
Oh, no, we're just looking at them and we're going to open them for discussion, excuse me. And then if we have no concerns with them, we'll move them to the May meeting for a vote. Anything on these policies, guys? Okay. Grading systems, nothing? Okay. Let me just make sure I'm not crazy here. Okay, yeah, boom, that's what I wanted to see. Okay, so with no discussion on that, these policies will move forward to the May meeting for a vote. And we have no items under new business. Time check 8:33. We do? Give me one moment, I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, yes. It's not in here. The letter.
Okay.
We can't do it.
So you know what, I may have to, because there was an item that I'd asked to have on the agenda, I see that it didn't appear, and so I want to honor the process properly. So I want to, so there was a letter that I received from the state, from Commissioner Rosa, and I shared it with board colleagues, I believe, yesterday or what have you. And I was looking to have a brief discussion around that particular letter and the contents of it, just to level set, and also have the open discussion with the community around the state of our financial status here in the Rochester City School District. It didn't make it to the board's, to the calendar, so I would, I guess, entertain a motion
To amend the agenda.
to amend the agenda to honor the 48-hour, is it a?
Suspend the rules?
Suspend the rules, to suspend the 48-hour rule?
Yeah, so essentially, it's a motion to suspend the rule to add it to the agenda, to the specific item to the agenda, and you put that to your fellow commissioners and do it that way.
Yes, so you all received that letter yesterday, and this would be a brief discussion, but I did want to get your appetite and make sure that I'm formally requesting that in this moment. Do I have the support to bring that item forward? Okay. Okay. Any opposed?
Is there a motion and a second?
There's no motion yet.
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
McCullough, seconded by Vice President Loy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and so now, the second thing for you, General Counsel, is the letter is not here, and I do want our open meeting, what have you, the public to be able to see. We
Right.
can add that at the end
So-
of this meeting, or?
Yes, I mean, that can happen. The law says to the extent practicable. So the open meetings law anticipates that there might be matters that come in beneath the timeline that is recommended. And obviously, the board has its 48-hour rule, which the board just kind of addressed. So I don't think a law is being violated if it came in a period of time that did not allow the board to, if the intent was to publish it, to publish it on the agenda.
Okay, okay.
Your refresh board docs is posted.
Okay, and so it has been posted, and I appreciate you. Clerk Nguyen and I have a lot of discussions about a lot of things, and so once in a while, I know I drop a lot of balls, and we know that from this weekend, what we did, and so, and so, thank you. And she usually helps me pick most of them up, so I definitely, I'm just bringing up the letter at this particular time. And you all should have that in front of us. But basically, and this is not the right one for me, but you said it's on board docs. Please forgive me and give me one more moment.
Was it an executive content? 'Cause I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
It's in new business, section 16, public content. Yes, it says budget discussion.
It's there. Thank you. Okay, and so just so the viewing audience can see this letter, and this is just cautioning us. State Monitor, if you'd like to kind of unpack this letter, what the message is, and Superintendent Rosser, after that, maybe you want to weigh in or what have you.
Good evening. Thank you, President Simmons, for the opportunity. This letter is in response to the presentation that I did for the board on March 26th regarding the budget that it was shared with me and the fiscal consultant on March 2nd. At that time, I shared with the board the revenues, that expenses that the district we're going to incur next year, and knowing that there is a gap of $23 million, almost $24 million, almost, I said, and knowing that we receive a 5-year financial plan that shows that the district will have a deficit or a gap of $407 million for the district to be prudent, for the board to be prudent, to look at possible revenues coming from the state. And I'm not talking about grants or extra money that is coming from the federal government or for the schools in receivership. This is money that will come to the district after the state budget is approved to see if we could replace some of the money that the district is projecting to use from the fund balance, to have that discussion with me and the fiscal consultant to develop a plan on how the district is planning to address this situation. Because if you recall, many of you, the year 2019 and 2020, the district did face a very difficult financial position. We know that this organization is about instruction. We know that social emotional is very important, but we also want to make sure that the district is in a good financial position in the future.
Thank you for that added clarity. And Superintendent Rosser?
Yeah, so one of the things that we'll need to do in response to the commissioner's letter, we will need to provide the commissioner's office with the most recent version of the proposed budget and any rationale the district wishes the commissioner to consider for why she should not direct the district to consult with the monitor and the fiscal consultant and agree upon the amount of new funding to dedicate to reducing the use of reserves to balance the 26-27 school year budget. We have that responsibility, and there's an updated letter that we'll make sure is for the record. But there is a responsibility that we provide this additional information to the commissioner no later than April 27th, close of business. The team and I are in receipt of this letter, and we'll be making sure that we comply with the conditions set forth that the commissioner has provided to the Rochester City School District, district administration, and board commissioners.
Thank you for that update. So we do have this, and I just, again, wanted to make sure that there was a level of transparency surrounding the communications as we continue to navigate our fiscal responsibility with the Rochester City School District. I'm going to stop there because we will have continuing deliberations, continuing discussion, but we are in a place where we have to make decisions, and we want to make sure that all decisions serve our school communities, serve our families, and that we're making responsible decisions that will take us forward so that we do not continue to repeat what we seem to see all of the time. So with that said, I'm going to move forward. That takes us out of new business and moves us to the board may convene into executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment status of specific individuals, collective bargaining, and/or to discuss matters of concern with the general counsel.
Motion.
Entertaining a motion by Vice President Malloy, seconded by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We will convene in executive session on the second floor conference room. Thank you.